Get the volume in there. Good evening to you all, and thank you for joining me. And welcome to Monday Night Live with me, coming into your eyes and your ears for the next. Well, I'll be quite honest. I don't know how long I'm going to be coming into your eyes and ears direct from Windy Bottom here in the Peak District tonight, because I don't know how long I'm going to last. I am shattered. I can barely keep my eyes open. It's been a bit of a full-on weekend. I've had 2 stupidly late nights, and I do mean stupidly late, on the bounce, 2 full days, a couple of good, couple of hard shifts where I am beyond knackered, but it's wonderful to be here with you, and it's lovely to catch up because I've not seen you. Oh, well, I saw you on Saturday, didn't I? So I suppose it's not been all that long, but I would love to hear about your weekends. I would love to hear about any news you've got, any gossip you've got. Obviously, I want to know what you've been eating. What have you been up to over the weekend? What have you been doing? I would love to know. And I've got quite a bit to tell you about. So let's dive straight in, shall we? And I apologise in advance if I'm just so knackered that I'm virtually useless tonight. I can't begin to tell you how tired I am. Steve Colg is here. Good evening to you. Oh, Trace, lovely, the Greenwood. It's always nice when you can join us. Fiesta Man 1990 says, evening all. Hope everyone had a good weekend. I hope you had a good weekend. It's kind of you to ask. Simon is here. Simon is here from the YouTube channel Smashing Pistons, of course. And how did your quiz go tonight, Simon? I'm sorry I couldn't be there. I've been driving home, and I didn't think that I was going to get here. We've had a bit of a disaster, my lovelies, which is a shame because it came after a fabulous weekend and a very productive day today, which involved a lot of fixing things. So it's sod's law that something went catastrophically wrong tonight. Congratulations, says Simon. You have won a subscription to Banana Facts. Now, if that's a reference to my video winding up a scammer, and I suspect it is, it was Mr. Tim's Banana Facts, to give it its full title. That was an occasion where I was contacted by somebody who I believe to be a scammer, claiming to be a Ukrainian, living and working in Switzerland. And so I subscribed into Mr. Tim's Banana Facts, and I deluged him with random facts about bananas until he just couldn't really take it anymore, and he completely broke out of character. So, fucking hell, stop with the bananas. I can't take it. Good evening, your reverend monkness, says the one and only Pingu Concord, and a jolly good evening to you, my dear chap. Goodness gracious me, says Jimmy Quinn. Dracula has lost his hair. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, who didn't see the Daily Diary, or who didn't see the live at lunchtime that we did on Sunday. Did it on Sunday, didn't we? Sunday? No, we didn't. We did it on Saturday. Of course we did. I knew that. Basically, you lot have bullied me into turning my annual head shaving into a twice-a-year event. So, this wasn't supposed to happen until Bernard's birthday, January the 8th next year. But I'm getting so much grief off you lot that on Friday, I uploaded my Daily Diary film. First comment on it was, can't you do something about your hair? And I thought, right, that's it. I just grabbed my wallet, grabbed my car keys, got into Barney the Streetwise, and went off to find a Barbara. And this doesn't happen often, but I gave in to peer pressure. I allowed you lot to bully me into doing something that I didn't want to do. Except that, in all honesty, I'm kind of glad I did, because once my hair gets to a certain length, it becomes an absolute pain in the ass. And this is just so much easier. no piddling about with shampoo and conditioner and a hairbrush and all of that shenanigans. No. Little bit of fairy liquid, bit of a rub over with a flannel, and just pat it dry with a pair of used underpants, and the job is a good one. Good evening, Boaty, says Otter MG, and good evening all, and a very good evening to you. Thank you for joining us. Stiff Upper Lip is here. This is rather lovely. Hello, Boaty. Hello to you. Neil Gibbons, aka the Gibbonator, a gentleman that I've spent the majority of the last 2 days with, is here and says evening all. Your tiredness, says Tracy, is nothing that a cold glass of wine can't fix. Cold glasses of wine have been part of the bloody problem, to be honest, Trace. The problem is that for the past 2 nights, Bernard has been down in London, bit of a family thing, and, fancied a bit of a chat, and we chatted quite late into the night. Nothing wrong with that. Very pleasant experience. We sang at each other and all sorts. Unfortunately, I forgot to stop drinking. So, and when you stay up for 2 or 3 hours later than you normally do, and you forget to stop drinking, you end up being very drunk indeed. And then when you have to get up early the next day because you're going out to do things with your friends, you are very hungover indeed. And then when that happens too, and then when you go to work, and you have a busy shift in a really hot kitchen, as happened to me, you don't feel very well at all. And then when you have another late, oh, God almighty. I mean, I'm probably clinically dead. Pingu says, have the flowers gone over to the dark side? Yeah, the flowers have met their destiny in the wheelie bin, I'm afraid, but they did jolly well. And I did wash the vase, so a bit of kudos to me there. The quiz was good, thanks, says Simon. You should co-host / join next week. If I'm about, Simon, I would love to. I did join last week's. And I think I was last but one on the first, and then came second on the second one. But the problem is, I mean, you run sort of 8 till 10, don't you? And if it's a late one at the yard, then I'm kind of not getting home until 9. It was gone 9 tonight because there was a bit of a disaster, which no doubt I will tell you about at some time. Biannual Boaty boldness, says Pingu. Absolutely correct. Jimmy Quinn says, a barber done your hair, he needs shooting. Why? Nothing wrong with it. He did a much better job than I would. Nice, quick, easy, cheap. Number 2, all over. Job's a good one. Safe for another 6 months. Excuse me. I am looking forward to that cold glass of wine. Although, please, if I'm still babbling on after 11 o'clock, then tell me to stop drinking, shut up, and go to bed. But I've got nothing on tomorrow morning, so I can have a bit of a rest. Skick says, how did you acquire the Richard Burton photo? I bought it off eBay, Skick. It was £4. Cheeseburger says, blimey, Boaty, I thought the council were on strike. Yeah, I think that's a haircut reference. Simon says, YouTube won't let me use emoji on live chat now for some reason. Bad times. I wonder why that is. Can I do emoji? Let's have a look. Oh, yes, I can. So I don't know what that's about, Simon. Barry is here, that guy from SETI Alpha 5. Good evening, all. I was rubbish at the quiz. Pingu says, free Bernard, T-shirts available on Temu, however you pronounce that. She's not imprisoned here. She's been down in London all weekend, mate. Cheeseburger says, number 2 all over. Is that rhyming slang? Oh, don't you? I'm not sure I can cope with Cheeseburger tonight. If Cheeseburger is on form, and he usually is, this might be the night that he finally finishes me off, and I admit defeat and just curl up into a fetal ball here on the table, and and you, oh, I didn't mean to do that. Come back. Ah, there you are. Ah, there we are. Oh, let's get some more water. Trace says your hair did grow rather more quickly this year than last year. You only really started looking shaggy in about November, December. You know what the difference is, Trace? Last year, because I wasn't YouTubing, was I last year? Oh, no. Last year I wasn't YouTubing. So last January, I completely wet shaved my head. This January, this year, I was YouTubing, and I didn't want to shock you all, or more likely get grief off you all, for turning up on camera looking like a billiard ball. So instead of doing the full wet shave, I just went down to the barber and got a clip. So that's why it kind of appeared to grow more quickly, because it had a head start compared to last year. Last year they had to start from completely bald. I'm so sorry. Diddly-do. Other people could use emojis, so don't know what the issue is with Simon. Skick says Mustard never took the advice. He made a video the other day showing his thing off again. Yes, and he's going to carry on doing it, unfortunately. Now, today was a little bit different at the yard, and you won't see it because I didn't do any filming, or, hardly any filming, maybe a minute tops. So because we've had a very productive day, we were doing things at the yard, or more, well, Mustard was doing some things which were largely related to the loss of his keys. But the wonderful Neil was doing very productive things with my cars. And so we didn't have a lunch as we normally do. Neil and I had to nip out to Oldham. And I don't mean that we had to nip out somewhere and hold them. We had to go to a place called Oldham, where there was a Hal Ford's, and we had to purchase some things. And by the time we got back, and Neil had his welders, he had some expensive tools out there. And we didn't get back from Halford's till gone 3 o'clock. So I said, rather than going to the Milkston, it's late, we're all hungry. Rather than going to the Milkston Road and then doing the big lunch production and whatnot, and we didn't want to leave the tools unattended or anything like that, I said, we'll just go down to David's Chippy, the little chip shop down in Milnrow Village, and we'll all have chips, and we'll just eat them old school, out the bag, sitting around here around the cars. And that's what we did. So there was no filming of the lunch vid or anything like that. And it was kind of a working lunch. But the uncomfortable thing was Mustard's back was playing up. So he started off sitting down on the floor, cross-legged, and I was sitting on a Rover 25 seat. But then Mustard started standing up, and he was wearing his usual pajamas. And unfortunately, that meant, because he was standing very close to me, it meant that I'm sitting, he's standing, my eye was exactly at that level where you really didn't want it to be. And, and even more unfortunately, I'd gone for sausage and chips. So nothing puts you off your sausage more than Mustard standing about with, dear God. So, yeah. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Skicky has taken no advice whatsoever. Trace says, curl up into a what? A fecal ball? Ew. Fetal, dear. Fetal. The fetus position. Fetus firstus. Fold the news, says Pingo. I believe so. This was delivered when I was oop. So, yeah, we're going to have a look at that in a moment. And there are going to be no fewer than 2 folder updates this week, of which this will be the first. So, you can share that with me. Oh, thank you, Cheeseburger. I appreciate that. I'm a bit fragile. I appreciate you being gentle with me. Simon says, I can do the YouTube ones. My phone won't let me access the normal ones. I don't know why I'm bothering you with this news. Well, if it's causing you distress, Simon, then we want to share it with you. We are your friends. Cheeseburger says, Skick, yes, he did, and it was disgusting. Trey says, maybe Mustard likes showing his wedge off. He knows his market 100%. Otter MG says, Project Nigel fighting name, Captain Mastard. I think he's fighting under the love sausage at the moment. What? No lunch, says Simon? Not a lunch in the normal way of things. You had a disaster at the yard, says Trace. Was Joe there? Can we blame Joe again? There were no disasters at the yard. Everything went really well. And I left that yard on such a high, so it's sod's law that then the disaster happened on the way home. How much of a disaster it's going to end up being, I don't know. I'm just grateful that I got home tonight. It could be a total disaster, as in end of life, not my life, car life, or it could be something else. Do you remember, asks Pingu, Baron Silas von Greenback? That rings a bell. Wasn't that from some sort of kids' cartoon program? And he was some big slimy toad or something? Oh, for some reason I'm thinking of, no, it can't be that. What am I thinking of? Oh, there was some cartoon. Oh, God. It wasn't Danger Mouse, was it? I've got Danger Mouse springing to mind. Was it Danger Mouse? Captain Lunchbox, says Cheeseburger. Yes. I mean, he's been getting so much stick today. Mostly off Neil. Neil has been on very good form today, sparkling, in fact. And it's water off a... I almost said it's water off a dick's back. It's water off a duck's back with mustard. He doesn't care. Oh God. I mean, in a way, I wish I had done more filming at the yard now. Maybe Joe got some more, but Mustard was presented with gifts from the visitors. If you didn't know, then Neil and Joe and Sophie have been up this weekend. They came on Saturday. They actually arrived in the middle of my live here. Stayed local to me at the hotel just there on Saturday night. We went out for the day on Sunday. We had an MGF. We took out the F and the TF and drove them right over to the far side of the Snake Pass, and then went to the pub and had a very nice lunch. And then last night, they drove up to Rochdale and stayed in a hotel near the yard. I fell into 634 bottles of wine and went to bed way too late. Still had my supper though. You know, I don't care how late it is and how much wine I've drunk. I'm having my supper, and I had my supper last night. I don't mind telling you. Can't remember it, but I'm sure it was lovely. I ate it all. I haven't had a chance to wash up. I can, but here you go. That's the proof. That was my supper. I imagine it would have been very nice if it was Nepali noodles. And then obviously, so then we've all been at the yard today, and the idea was that we would have a productive day, and we have had a productive day. Things have been productive, I'm delighted to say. I managed to avoid the poke in the eye, Barry, but it was a close thing. Finger says Mustard is the Savoy smuggler, maybe, hence the shortage of Savoys in your area. Yeah, we were trying to work out how long it was going to be before this thing got old, and we just kept coming up with new things. If now I have got this on film, but if you have a look at the fighting robots at the Yard of Dreams, And look, as you look at them, look at the one on the left, and I'm convinced that that is based on Captain Mustard. And I now think that the fighting robots are a modern sculpture of an epic battle between Mustard the Love Sausage and the Beige Bomber. So I don't think they're fighting robots at all. I think they're fighting Love Sausage and Beige Bombers. Skick says, it's a material of his pyjamas. I think it wraps around his widge, giving a clear scale view. Simon asks, will Boaty's World be at the Project Nigel meetup? Almost certainly not. We had a great Sunday, and the Sunday was exactly what I always envisaged community meetups being. So we met up, we went for a nice drive there and back in our cars. Now, admittedly, there was only the four of us, but the same model would work for a bigger meetup. So we drove there and back, we did swapping, we did filming. So, you know, everybody had a drive of the different cars. There was filming, so on and so on and so on. And then we went to the pub and had a jolly nice lunch together. And it was a jolly nice lunch. And then there would have been time after the lunch to have a mingle about the car park, look at cars, you know, any of that sort of thing. And to my mind, that is a far more agreeable community meetup than meeting up in a field somewhere or in a yard somewhere or anything of that nature. Now, the weather was not good on Sunday. It was raining and it was quite cold. And it wasn't a problem because we were going for a drive, not a problem. We kept the roofs up, although we did have the roofs down on the way back because it did stop raining. And then it started raining again, but that wasn't a problem because we were in the pub. Whereas if we'd have been standing about in a field or in a yard or something like that, it would have been a problem. And when you're standing about in a field or a yard, then you don't get a nice lunch. You might take a reasonably decent lunch with you, but you don't get to sit down with your chums and have a nice lunch. So, as far as I'm concerned, any community meetup that follows that sort of thing, I will gladly attend. Any community meetup that means standing outside in the freezing rain, getting absolutely freezing cold and not having any decent shelter or dining facilities, include me out. Trey says, good job, Boaty has no sense of smell, or is it taste? Having a face full of Captain Sausage there. And Simon confirms that I have no taste. You didn't rear end someone, did you? No, I didn't, Barry, and no, Trace, I haven't crashed again. Disaster, did you take Stigbürt? No, I didn't. Oh, Baron Greenback was Danger Mouse. I got it right. What? Boaty does look like him now. Oh, is that why there's a reference? Do I look like this Baron Greenback? Whatever. Okay. Bring it on. Bring it on. I mean, don't worry about me. Don't worry about me being almost terminally tired and with a potentially dead car. That's fine. You give me as much grief as you like. Mustard's been getting... Oh, God. Mustard's been getting stick today, asked Trace. Surely he doesn't need any more stick. Oh, correct, Danger Mouse. Well done, old chap. I'm impressed. I remembered that. Saturday's live was good, says Cheeseburger. The wood chip behind you didn't look so good in daylight there. Oh, God, I've got a stiff neck. Is that wood chip? I suppose it could be. It's paper of some sort. Trace says, Skick, you seem to be forensically zooming in on the area. Us Mustard Muff Magnet fan club members are respecting the privacy of his manpole. Oh, dear. If you don't want to wash up, get a cat, says Cheeseburger. They do it for you. They do indeed. Oh, no, not food talk, says Simon. I'm hungry enough as it is. Oh, God. Oh, God. Right, we'll gloss over those couple. Simon says, I've always said that fighting robots are actually robot lovers, trapped forever in an embrace. Yeah, well, look at them again. Look at the one on the left and imagine it's Mustard. And then they could well be lovers, and the embrace could be a bit nearer than you think. It was an amazing weekend, says Neil. It certainly was. And Trace says, looked like you all had a blast. We did. Head gasket failure, asked Barry. No. Catastrophic. Well, what appears to be fairly sudden and catastrophic loss of oil pressure. Based on the oil pressure warning light anyway, and potentially some engine issue causing that, which is also causing some sort of backdraft of the oil, kicking the oil, or I don't know how to describe it. I mean, it all happened in the dark and I was tired. We'll have a look at it. We'll have a proper look at it tomorrow, and it's probably just the engine has blown up. That's the kind of thing that happens to me. Good evening, says Simone, hooked on classic. Good evening to you. Everybody's still banging on about the meat hamper and the lunchbox. Word, says Simone. And Skick says, hi, Simone, great video. And Simone says, thanks, Skick. Did you re-watch it? Sorry I'm late, says Joe. Drama at the hotel. Oh, well, do fill us in. What's happened at the hotel? Oh, don't tell me. You fell over, didn't you, Joe? You tried to go up the step to the front door and you fell over. Or did you fall down a whole flight of stairs? What we've basically established over this weekend is that even with help from another human being, Joe, and Joe is, of course, Cars with JC, as he constantly reminds you, Joe is physically incapable, even with help, of walking up a set of steps. Every single time he tries to go up steps, he falls over and doesn't just fall there, he falls all the way back down, every single time. So I presume that's the drama that he's had at this hotel. I think he might have been trying to check into that hotel on his own, and he probably wouldn't have been able to do it, because if there were steps either into the hotel or up to the reception desk, he would never make it to the reception desk, because every time he tried to go up the steps, he would just fall over and fall back down them. So, I mean, presumably he's checked in now, so I can only assume that the receptionist came out from behind the reception desk and went to the bottom of the set of steps where Joe was lying prostrate with all of his luggage around him. And that is a boy who brings a lot of luggage. Considering he was only away for 2/3 nights, he's brought what I would take on a 6-month holiday. Poor old Neil. God almighty, you should. I mean, Neil has got an MG ZTT, which is not a small car. And yet, that thing was packed so tightly, you wouldn't get a matchbox in there. Oh, and you'll be pleased to know I have 2 sets of knob news, neither of which include mustard. Oh yeah, I've got a double knob update for you. That'll be exciting, won't it? Everybody's saying hello to Joe. What's happened to Minge Bag, says Joe. Oh, I don't know. I think the engine's just given up. Fred Elliott is with us and says, I say, Boaty, Fred, how are you, my dear chap? Oh dear. Hi, Joe, says Cheeseburger. Was mustard late leaving your room? Oh, what happened, Joe? I knew it was all your fault why Boaty's had drama tonight. I've told you, Tracy, he'll have just kept falling down the stairs. More likely to be a switch or a sensor failure in a Rover, says Cheeseburger. Pingu says blocked pickup tube in the sump, maybe. And Fred says, hello, everyone. Well, I'll tell you what happened. Right. There were... Well, I'm going to have to tell you the whole story, aren't I? Hold on. Well, I'll get to the end of the comments and then I'll start telling you about the last couple of days, including the car story. Joe says, drunk idiots. So don't be harsh about yourself, Joe. This hotel has a lift, says Joe. So yeah, that would have been a big help. Did you manage to get to the lift all right? Was the lift on a level floor? Because if there were steps up to the lobby or something, you would have fallen down those. Neil says, all Joe has done is fall over this weekend. Even sober, he's a tripping hazard. Oh, and Joe, oh, you had to pay a £5 for parking. The robbing devils, he says. Why do you think Yardcat runs away, asked Steve? Yeah. Tracy's having a giggle at Joe being physically incapable of walking up a step without another human being. No, you've got that wrong, Trace. Even when he's being helped by another human being, he still falls over. Now, Neil very kindly, after he'd fallen over 3 or 4 times, Neil very kindly helped him up the stairs to his hotel room. Unfortunately, even with Neil, who is a big lump of a chap, even with Neil trying to hold him upright, Joe still managed to fall down. And then Neil said all he could hear was thump, 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 thump as he fell down each and every step and ended up right at the bottom with his suitcase on top of it. Joe needs to get in the community, says Cheeseburger. Simon says, so it's a 55-mile trips and steps. Oh, well done, Simon. Yes. Yes, that's absolutely. Oh, dear. The funny thing is, says Joe, I walked up the stairs perfectly after 7 cocktails and a cider. Oh, well, that's clearly the answer, Joe. You've your drunk sensor has been fitted in reverse, so you basically need to be drunk all the time. Otherwise, you will just keep falling over. Now, if that was me, I'd be perfectly all right. Fred has been known to eat a full tub of ice cream at one sitting. On a serious note, says Trey, and well done, Fred. Good for you. I mean, I'm all in favour of people eating a full tub of ice cream at one sitting. It's not something I could do myself. I enjoy 1 spoon of ice cream, or maybe 1 scoop of ice cream on a cornet, although I haven't had that for years and years and years. But I couldn't do a whole tub. But I've got the greatest of admiration for people who can. On a serious note, says Trace, Joe, I used to be as clumsy as that. Turns out I have joint hypermobility disorder, which can make you seem clumsy, as all of your joints are more lax and squishy. Worth a thought, she asks. Simone says, can I share a YouTube channel, if you want to? A 19-year-old Canadian young lady who is learning how to restore a 1973 Triumph Spitfire. Sage's Garage, and that's SAIGE''S, Sage's Garage. Her enthusiasm is infectious. There you go. If you would like to watch a 19-year-old Canadian girl learning how to restore the Triumph Spitfire, that is the channel for you to tune into. I did have an idea for a competition, but I would get so quickly demonetized. I had an idea for a couple of competitions. Well, one competition, one feature. The competition was going to be, you know how Jewish gentlemen have a little bit of themselves cut off when they're very young, which would make them a helmet, and other people don't have that bit cut off, which makes them an anteater. So one of the competitions was to be whether you could tell from Mustard's video and cunning use of the zoom feature whether Mustard was a helmet or an anteater. And the feature I came up with, I can't remember the acronym for it. I came up with a clever acronym for it. I am tired and I can't remember, but it was basically coming up with famous people, Muhammad Ali being the example, and trying to work out whether they were bigger or smaller than Mustard. Oh dear. Joe says, Trace, I have a damaged nerve in my right leg and ankle. Problems as was involved in a nasty car crash 2 years ago. That's the understatement of the year to say it was a nasty car crash, and it's an understatement to say you've got problems. Bless you, Joe. I can randomly fall over walking on a straight path. It's not just stairs. Poor old Joe, his leg, he's shown me photographs of when his leg was really bad. He was in bed. He was bedbound for about 6 months. Oh no, more than that, Sonny. He's just said, I was bedbound for 1.5 years and I've only just finished physio. Neil says, I offered to carry his bags before he fell over. And he said, and I quote, I'll be all right, mate. Don't worry. And then he fell over. Cheeseburger says, Simone, I've seen Sage's Garage. It's a good channel. Quarterlight is good too. He reviews 70s and 80s car brochures. Plenty of Rover content. It's fine, says Joe. It genuinely was so funny. Who's heading to the NEC Classic Show this year, asked Simon. We might have a bit of a posse heading down there. One health review. Oh, and it's Mike Baldwin. Good God, I thought you were dead. Hello there, me old nipples. Well, hello to you, Mike. Honestly, we all had such an incredible time this weekend, says Joe, and thank you so much. Oh, you're more than welcome. Hello there, me old nippers. We've changed nipples to nippers. How can you eat ice cream, asked Trace. Boaty, how can you eat ice cream? It's frozen titty juice. Yeah, I know, it's really nice. I only have 1 or 2 spoonfuls a year. I have butter as well. I am a hypocrite, and I'm fully aware of that. Cheeseburger, I'm not reading that out, and you ought to be ashamed of yourself. Oh dear. No, it wasn't a wet t-shirt competition, Barry, although that's not a bad shout. Yeah, we'll not read that one. I'm Cheeseburger. And you, Barry, no. No to you both. I don't think the mustard has had bits snipped off, says Otter MG. I reckon he's had some bits added. Oh, Joe says, poor Neil, he was so lovely to offer to carry my millionth bag, and then I ended up travelling down the stairs with it. Poor Sophie, she nearly got taken out by a suitcase. Mike Baldwin is back from the dead. Danny thought he saw the end of me. Did he, hell? I assume these are Coronation Street references, which I don't get. Right, okay. I seem to have caught up the comments, so I can tell you about... Well, you'll have seen bits of Sunday, which is yesterday, wasn't it? So you know the fun we had in the MGs, and we had a splendid lunch. You'll have seen bits on video. Well, I assume you will. I assume that all you guys watching this, my inner scrotum, I presume you're all channel members. See, you'll all have seen the Daily Dining videos. So you'll have seen a bit from the restaurant when those guys come to eat. You'll have seen bits of us having fun in Wetleg and Minge Bag on Sunday and having a lovely spot of lunch. So to tell you about today at the yard. Today at the yard, well, they got there at 10 o'clock. Now, I was so dead this morning. I didn't get there till just gone the normal time. I always aim for... Sorry. Oh, we've got gifted memberships. Here we go. And who's got them? Barry's got one. RichPlanet.net has got one. Pingu Concord has got one. Steve Colg has got one. And Rob has got... I thought you already were members. Oh, maybe you were before and they've fallen off. But thank you, Joe. That's extremely kind of you. Oh, and now you're getting thanked by the... Oh, that's for the Momo, as you wouldn't take our money. That's really sweet of you. Right. Thank you so much, Joe. I really appreciate that. And, did the Momo survive? I presume they're now in Neil's freezer. Did they survive okay? I put stuff underneath and on top. Of course, I shouldn't. Bit dodgy putting them in the boot, I suppose, because I forgot that the engine's right there. But hopefully they did survive okay. Oh God, Neil's done 5 memberships as well. Oh my God, who's copped for them? Let's have a look. Mark Davis has got one. Wetleg's Rear End has got one. Rover Survival has got one. Soup Sorcerer has got one, and Name Me One has got one. That's really, really kind of you, Neil. Thank you so much. Gosh, 10 memberships. 10 memberships. That's really exciting. Thank you so much, you lovely people. And welcome to channel membership, all of you new members. I hope you enjoy the perks and the what's it? Oh, how lovely. Oh, good. The Momo survived beautifully, mate. Brilliant, brilliant. Well, enjoy them, and let me know about the chutney. If you need next time, if you decide that you're going to go big on the chutney like I do, well, we all do actually. We slather the buggers with chutney. I've noticed that people in the restaurant tend not to. I mean, when we send a Momo starter out in the restaurant, and we give them the little pot of chutney, like we did with you guys on Saturday. Now, if it was me or any of us, any of the Nepali guys, that amount of chutney would barely do 1 Momo. And yet I've noticed that in the restaurant, the chutney cups always come back with chutney still in them, whereas I'd have well and truly licked it out. Like, oh, I almost said something then. I'm glad I didn't. Oh, you have to be so careful. You have to be so careful when you're a semi-professional. God, I was going to call myself a semi-professional broadcaster. What a joke that is. Drunken old fart just rattling off at a bloody elderly iPhone 6 broadcasting my fat bottom. So anyway, I didn't go mad with the chutney, but if you would like more next time, I can make that happen for you very easily. To explain, Joe and Neil ordered 50 Momo each, complete with the authentic Nepali Momo chutney. They had Momo in the restaurant on Saturday, and they decided that they needed more Momo in their life, as any reasonable person would, because they are just pretty much the most fantastic thing that you can possibly eat. And I will be having some for supper tonight. So there you go. Why is it called Momo? Asked Simone. I don't know, Simone. To be completely honest, it's just the Nepali and Tibetan word for them. I don't know. Diddly do. Oh, look at all these new members. That's fantastic. So let's go through them. Let's just go through them again. Let's make a bit of a song and dance of this. Not literally. I won't subject you to that. But the lovely Joe gifted 5 channel memberships, as did the lovely Neil. They gifted 5 each. Both as thank yous for the Momo, which, as they said, I refuse to take any money for, because they've been incredibly kind and generous with me this weekend. I mean, there were things that I've not been allowed to show you, because they said we were going to film them. We didn't get around to it because we were too busy having fun. Neil and the guys, they got me some genuine Freelander roof bars for Miss Boo. So Miss Boo now has roof bars, and a little bird tells me that around Christmas time there might be a Land Rover roof box to go on those roof bars, and they're brilliant. They're absolutely brilliant. No fiddling about with tools or anything, because they're the genuine ones. They're perfectly shaped to the actual roof bar, and they came with the key and everything. So you literally just open them up, bang them on, shut them, and the key locks them, and that's it. On and off in, well, it was seconds, wasn't it, Neil? Seconds we did it. And our new channel members, thanks to this wonderful gift, we've got Barry, we've got richplanet.net, we've got Pingu, we've got Steakold, we've got Rob, and that's from Joe's, and then from Neil's, we've got Mark Davis, Wetleg's Rear End, Rover Survival, Soup Sorcerer, and Name Me -1. Brilliant. Oh, more gift says Trace. Yeah, it's wonderful, isn't it? Well deserved the gift. Oh, well, that's very kind. Oh God, they're going off on a Coronation Street. I haven't seen Coronation Street for, oh, God knows how many years, 20 years. I vaguely remember Fred. Fred. And right, Fred is busy butchering Ashley. Oh, God, cheeseburger. That's why Ashley has a squeaky voice. Oh, dear. 100% worth it, mate, says Neil. I'll bring your chiller box back when I see you next. Yeah, no rush, mate. I can live without that. And yeah, I hope you enjoy your Momo. And if anybody else would like to try Momo, then they are available. 50 Momo is 20 quid. They're handmade. They come frozen. They will steam from frozen in around 20 minutes, depending on the ferocity of your steamer, and so on and so on and so on. You'll easily see when they're ready. Don't worry about that. Or if you want them with the chutney as well, then it's an extra tenner. So 30 quid gets you 50 Momo and enough chutney for all of those Momo. And I can't recommend them highly enough. They're not made by me. They are actually made by a Nepali chef. Well, I mean, they're actually made by Ram. You all know Ram. But they're not made at the restaurant. They're made at his home. They're his homemade ones to his village recipe. Slightly different to the ones at that we serve in the restaurant. They're a little bit smaller, which is more traditional. They are tastier. They've got a slightly different spice mix because they're more, well, they're designed for the Asian palate rather than the European palate. Which just makes them nicer. But most of all, they're actually healthier, and you could literally eat them every day without doing yourself any harm at all. And if you tried them, you would want to eat them every day. Trey says, all the new members can go and watch and enjoy the members-only vids after this live. They can indeed. Wetleg's Rear End, you need to change your name to Melanie's Dry Sump. Oh, yeah, I need to tell you about that, don't I? Memberships are so worth it, says Joe. You guys are so lovely with the gifted membership, says Otter MG. Such a lovely community to be part of. Much love to you all. I totally agree with that. I'm so proud of what you guys have created around this. And it is you guys who've done it, not me. I'm just the idiot who sits here and waffles at you to give you a chance to talk to each other and ignore me. So I put it all down to you and your work, and I'm just really grateful to be a part of it. But the further and further we go on, the more I'm loving it. And I would love, I'm sure it will happen. If not, well, I'm sure it'll happen over winter, certainly next year. I would love for it to become more real life things. Oh, but there are real life things coming up. I mean, I've had this weekend with the Three Musketeers. I've got some exciting news. 2 people coming from Australia. Now, Ross, who we all know and love. Ross is heading over sometime soon. I need to reply to his message. So you can be sure that I will be meeting up with Ross, and possibly other people might be too. But in other really exciting news, well, just as exciting, there's somebody else coming over from Australia next week. And the somebody else who's coming over from Australia is a loyal viewer of the channel, but it also happens to be my best friend from school, who I haven't seen since I was 16 years old. And he's coming to the UK, and he wants to meet up. So yeah, you can be sure I'm going to try and make that happen if I possibly can. You'll have seen him on live streams. It's the timing issues and his work mean that he doesn't get to join us on the lives very often, but he has done. It's Chris Mills, and he was genuinely my best pal at school, and we had some real adventures that no doubt we will talk about when we do catch up, which will be very soon. So how exciting is that? How exciting! And Chris would never have found me were it not for the YouTube channel, because well, let you into a little secret. I don't have entirely the same name that I had at school, and I don't have entirely the same name that I raced under, which is I did wonder about that. I did wonder about this. Anybody who knows me now and didn't know me then, I wonder if anybody has gone searching for any details on my athletic career. And of course, you wouldn't find them by searching for the name by which you know me now. So that's really super exciting. Two people coming from Australia for other reasons, of course, but that I'm going to meet because of this little community thing that we've done. I'm going to be meeting people from the other side of the world, and that's great. And the friends thing is great. I mean, Neil and Joe and Sophie, they're family now. They're absolutely family. And not just with me, but with each other. And like they say, they would never have met each other were it not for this channel and this community. And I would never have met them. And I think this is fantastic. And I hope we always keep that vibe, even if the channel grows a bit, which, let's face it, isn't likely with the sort of crap that I put out. But even if it were to grow a little bit, I hope we can keep this vibe of friendliness and community and family and get more real life stuff going on. Neil and Joe have got big plans, and they've said, what about doing this? And what about doing that? And we think that this would work really well. So in the end, I just said, look, you've formed the basis of a committee. You decide what we should do for the community or for the channel, and I'll just do what I'm told. So, so that's what we're doing. Apparently, I've got to go to car shows. So there we are. There we are. Is it wine time? Yeah, no, not quite wine time. Oh, hang on. Wine needs to go in the freezer. Give it a 6-minute chill. There we go. And okay, the glass is already in there. Jolly good. Boaty, you have 88. Oh gosh, do I? 88 new notifications. Gosh, that's a lot, isn't it? Did you get the little envelope I sent you yet? Says Barry. What, in the post? No, not yet. Oh, Ross is here. Speak of the devil. Hey, Boaty and fellow Bogs. I keep forgetting about that. Yeah, we are now the Bogs, aren't we? B-O-G-G-S. Boaty's old geezers and gals. And even if you're young, you can still be a Bog because you can be old in spirit, or at least hang out with us oldies. Oh, I didn't mean to do that again. I keep doing that without meaning to. But no, I haven't yet, Barry. But, oh gosh, that's exciting. I wonder what it is. The last time you saw Coronation Street, says Cheeseburger, Len Fairclough was in the news. Let's not go there. I stopped watching Constipation Street when the Battersbys arrived, says Swain. Oh, James Wilson is with us. I was talking about you. When? When was I talking about you? Oh, I think it was over lunch yesterday. Opinions on the song Firestarter by The Prodigy. It's an epic beat, and Keith Flint is epic. One day I'll be playing it when roaring around in a Rover 800 Vitesse Sport, which I will get one day, hopefully. Oh, there we are. Well, I hope so too. I'm so looking forward to my Momo, says Joe. They are delicious. Oh, they really are. Right, okay, we're talking about Firestarter by The Prodigy, which... do I have an opinion on Firestarter by The Prodigy? I think I probably do have an opinion. My opinion would just be that it's just a fairly unpleasant noise, really, isn't it? Or am I missing something? Am I missing some hidden genius in the middle of that really quite unpleasant noise? God. Talking about unpleasant noise, you should have been here at 4 o'clock yesterday morning or the morning before. I can't remember which one it was. It's all a bit of a blur. Me and Bernard were singing our entire repertoire of country songs at each other. 8 years we've known each other, and I didn't know she was into country, and she didn't know that I used to sing country. Yeah, I actually started off singing country, and then once I started to do a little bit better, then country isn't that popular, it doesn't earn you much money. So I had to start changing my set. And then, of course, I went down the Neil Diamond tribute route. But I used to love singing country, and I do really enjoy country music. And it is almost wine time. I'm going to prepare. Oh, don't let me drink the whole bottle tonight, darlings. Tell me to go to bed. After my supper, obviously. Oh, I've got to tell you all about the knob news and the disaster news, and well, the good news and the bad news with cars. I'm hoping it's not going to be a total disaster, but it could be. Anyway, Neil is here. Neil will give me his learned opinion, and Neil, well, let's tell you about today. So this morning, I did begin to tell you, didn't I? And then I got waylaid. Oh, what's that? So yeah, this morning the guys got to the yard at about 10 o'clock. I got there at about 20 to 1. They were only a mile away, to be fair. Oh, Chris is here. Chris is here. My mate, my best friend from school, Chris Mills. Just talking about him, and here he is in the comments. I haven't seen you here for a while. Good morning, sir. Good morning to you, my dear old friend. Just checking in, and yes, I will be taking time to annoy you when I get over. I'm really excited about it, mate. I know I've got some messages to reply to. I've had a torrid couple of days, so apologies to anybody. I'm waiting for a reply from me on anything. I've either been asleep, drunk, or having fun over the last 72 hours. Or editing videos. There has been a bit of video editing going on in the middle of it. So I've been a bit crap at messages. What was I saying? Yeah, so the guys got there 10 o'clock this morning. I got there 20 to 1. Now, you know the situation with Brian. Poor old Brian's been sitting there forever because he had that thing that the garage couldn't do, tried to do it, couldn't do it. So they just sent the parts back that they'd ordered and it didn't get done. Mustard can't do it. And Neil said, I'll do it. Don't worry, I'll do it. I'll just pop up to the yard and I'll do it. And I thought, well, I know less than nothing about mechanicals. But I thought, if a whole garage can't do it, what are the chances that one guy just rocking up to the yard with a couple of tools in the back of his car, what are the chances that he's going to be able to do it? But, I mean, it was a lovely offer. And I thought there's no harm in trying. I was just really grateful. Well, of course, I shouldn't have doubted, should I? He did it. I mean, I won't say no problem, but he did it. He knew that he would do it, and he knew exactly what he was doing. He brought all of the things that he needed in the back of his rather lovely ZTT, and he did it. He did what a whole garage couldn't do on his own in a car yard after cocktails, I believe, the night before. So, oh, cheers, darlings. You're very good health. Oh, God, that's nice. I tell you what I'll do. Say we're getting too drunk too early tonight, I'll do the old trick. And this is a really good trick if you're not wanting to get too drunk, or if you don't want to have a hangover, or if you're having a long night of drinking, right? Have wine or alcoholic drink of choice and have water at the side of it, and alternate a glass of alcohol with a glass of water. It'll slow down your drunkenness. It'll really help with your hangover, because most of the unpleasant characteristics of a hangover are actually caused by dehydration, because alcohol is a dehydrant. So if you mix your wine and your water, you probably won't get a hangover, and you won't get so drunk, catastrophically drunk so quickly. And Bernard is back home tonight, and she's going to be absolutely knackered and grateful to be back home in Ellesmere Port. So I don't think there's going to be any late night telephonic shenanigans. And I can confirm, if you need to confirm, that there is no other woman anywhere within the environ of Windy Bottom. So I can go to bed, rest, unmolested, telephonically or in person. Oh, God, and I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to supper first. After my sausage and chips and a large curry sauce today, I was so podged that I thought I wouldn't want to eat tonight. And now I just can't wait to get outside some Momo. Oh, God, I'm looking forward to it. Anyway, so yeah. So Brian is now, he's not fixed, he's not sorted, but now he can be. The stumbling block, the thing that couldn't be done, has now been done. And I still don't really understand it. But there was there was a bolt there that bolted something to the subframe, I think, there. And that was just impossible to get off. And it's some special kind. So basically what Neil had to do, he had to sort of, I don't know, get some kind of nuclear circular saw type arrangement thing and cut bits off the car. And I think he had to cut a bit out of the subframe or something. So, you know, really serious surgery. And then he had to get a new nut and bolt, and he had to re-weld the bits he'd cut out of the subframe. He had to weld in the nut and bolt. And I really don't understand it, but it was terribly, I mean, it took him hours, but he did it. And, you know, apparently it couldn't be done. So that much is done now. So all that needs doing now, and I say all, it needs, it's all done. It just needs a little cover plate welding on. But Mustard has said that he can do that. All of the hard yards are done, basically. So it needs just a little plate with a cutout welding on for something or other. And then the actual part that needs to be replaced still needs to be replaced. But the garage ordered one, and it was only like £9 or something. So that's not a massive thing. And now that it's all been done, that will just bolt straight on. So no problem with that. Now, Neil found a problem that the MOT tester missed. This wasn't picked up on the MOT. But Neil found that one of the drop links, was it, Neil, is absolutely shot, and it is shot. He showed it to me. So he took that off. So it needs a new one of those on. And because it should have failed the MOT on that. And then it needs 2 exhaust sections, either replacing or repairing, and then he can have an MOT. So there is light at the end of the tunnel with Brian. So sorry. A little bit of burpage yet. Oh dear. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, so there is light at the end of the tunnel with Brian. So that is brilliant news. first knob update. I don't know if I told you about this, but Barney the Streetwise suddenly developed a thing where his gear knob pulled off. Now, I wasn't sure how these fit. I managed to ram it on and twist it so it stopped falling off, but the gear knob is on the wand, a bit like that. So I checked with Mustard, and Mustard said it should just be a press fit, pull off. So I assume that one of the clip things is broken on Barney's. So this is Nigel's original knob. And so Mustard's given me this to see if this will fix the Barney issue. So that's the first knob update. There is another knob update, so stay tuned. So Neil was working on Brian most of the day, but he did it. And then we had another job. Let me just check the comments before I start going on about the other job and what happened. Diddly-do. Simone asks, Gick, are you considering selling TC? Simon's wondering if Kylie's coming over from Australia. Chris, no offence, mate, but I might swap you for Kylie. Oh, dear. Kylie, she's lovely, isn't she? I mean, she's in splendid condition. She jolly well looked after herself. Oh, what's this? James says, 1996, 5 years before I was born, when the best concert was held, Nebworth, Train Spotting was peak, and great tunes from Oasis and all the rest, and Firestarter came out. And Simone says, no blooming way am I considering selling TC. Oh, Cheeseburger. Cheeseburger says, is Chris coming to collect the 20 B&H you owe him? Take him to Matchborough. That will sort him out. Well, we were both from Matchborough. I think Chris was from a slightly posher part than me. Oh, hang on. No, oh God, I can't remember the name of the, God, no, this is really going to test me. This is really going to test me because this is a long, long time ago. We both lived in Matchborough West, and obviously we both went to the same school, Arrow Valley. Now, if memory serves, I can't remember the name of the close, but I could tell you how to get to it. Now, to get to mine, you went down Breaches Lane off Icknield Street Drive. If you were coming down, then the one before Breaches Lane was Morsefield Lane. And if you went all the way to the end of Morsefield Lane and then turned left up a little hill, and then there were some flats up there, and then there was another estate to the back of that, nearer to the centre. And didn't you live somewhere there, Chris? God almighty, this is like trying to remember a dream. It was so long ago. But to answer you, Cheeseburger, no, he won't be coming to collect the 20 B&H I owe him because neither of us smoked back then. And hopefully Chris has been sensible and never smoked. I obviously do, most enthusiastically, but only after my athletic career ended. Oh, Sophie's here. Who is now Sophie Richardson, open bracket, chili sauce launcher, close bracket. Hi, everyone. Hello, my lovely. And Trey says, hi, Sophie. What did you do with the chili sauce then? She treated a shirt to it. Simon says, Boaty, you should do a series of videos about the cycling stuff. Show us all your athletic history. The problem with that, Simon, is I haven't got much. It's just all gone astray. I lost some of the stuff I just never got. There was a lot of publicity stuff. There was one photo that I desperately wanted. In 1989, I won the Junior Best All-Rounder, which was quite a big deal. Juniors was under 18. Juvenile was under 16. 16 to 18 was junior. And then you became a senior. And that was it until you were 40. and you became a vet or veteran. Now in '89, I won the Junior BAR, which is a season-long competition, and it compiles your best results across a variety of disciplines, collates them, and comes up with a winner. And I won it. And at the trophy presentation night, which is a full black tie dinner dance type thing, there was a publicity photo of me that I would give any amount of money to have. I didn't even know that had been taken. It was taken by a professional photographer, and it was taken on a course called the K21. I think it was the K21. And it was a time trial, and I was bewitched by this picture, because, in those days, you didn't see yourself. If you were lucky, you saw the odd photograph. You didn't see videos of yourself or anything like you would now. And it was a brilliant photograph. I was alone. I was on my favorite low profile with 26-inch Rover front wheel, 16 spoke, a Mavic Comet disc on the rear. And on that particular day, I remember I had a 56 ring with an 11 up through block, which gives you an incredibly big gear. And the picture was taken when I was at full tilt on a slight uphill. But I would have been, at that point, only a very, very slight uphill. And I would have been doing about 34, 35 miles an hour. And from memory, I was in 56.12. But the amazing thing was, I hadn't realized just how aerodynamic I was. I'd worked for years, long before it became fashionable. I was obsessed with aerodynamics, and I'd worked on my suppleness. I was stretching every day, all through the day, so that I could just get lower and lower and lower. And when you look at this picture, I mean, I'm in full flight. My legs were huge back then. I'm doing 34, 35 miles an hour, but my back was absolutely level like that. My back was like an ironing board. And I remember being incredibly impressed with that. And I never got a copy of that photograph. I never got copies of any of the best photographs of me. My own personal photographs have just got lost in house moves, not just my cycling ones, all of my photographs. The last lot went after the divorce. They're still at Mrs. Boaty's somewhere. Before that, when I sold the cottage in Wales, mistakenly, I left a load of old photos there. So God only knows what happened to them. They would have been thrown away, no doubt. Before that, when Sasha and I split up, she took a load of stuff with my permission. I didn't think it mattered then. Looking back, it kind of did. And she took a load of stuff, some stuff that I would love to have. She took all of my studio recordings. The first time that I recorded in a pro studio was with a lovely lady called Vanda, and she was quite famous in Spain as a vocalist. She did TV work in Spain and whatnot, quite a big noise. And she had a UK boyfriend or fiance or whatever they were. He was a lovely guy. I do remember that much. And they happened to be somewhere where I was singing. And afterwards, I was at the bar, and the guy came up to me and he said, "Would you consider working with, singing with my girlfriend or whatnot. And I must have looked a bit, taken aback. He said, no, she's a professional. She's a professional, but she loves your voice and she thinks that you'd work really well together. So we started doing some stuff together. And we went into a studio at Millsborough House, I think it was, in Redditch. And we put down, we basically put down the best part of an album together. And we started sending stuff off left, right, and centre, which it was actually, God, I'd kind of forgotten about all of this. It was actually looking really promising. We'd done a couple of live gigs together at this point, as well as the studio stuff. And we sent a demo of You Don't Bring Me Flowers, because I'd started doing the diamond stuff at that point. And we sent a demo off to whatever the production company was called. We were accepted for Stars in Their Eyes, which was quite probably the biggest program back then. So yeah, we were going on Stars in Their Eyes as Neil Diamond and Barbra Streisand doing You Don't Bring Me Flowers. And she got, cut a long story short, she got an amazing TV deal offer from Spain that she couldn't turn down. So off they went to Spain. She went back to Spain. He relocated to Spain, quite rightly. And that was kind of the end of that, but yeah, Sash had all of that studio stuff. And there were a load of, I assume she did anyway, because after she cleared out all of her stuff from our shared place, it wasn't there anymore. So either she took it as a keepsake or she binned it out of malice, because it was me who ended the relationship. But she also took all of my radio stuff. By that time, I'd started doing radio, and I started out on BBC WM. My first ever time on WM was as a guest interview on Malcolm Boyden's show. So yeah, he interviewed me on that, and I really enjoyed radio, and I did. And anyway, so all of that stuff went there. And I was talking about cycling, wasn't I? So all of my historical stuff, the only stuff that I've got is pre-2008, where it's on post-2008, sorry, where it's on Facebook. Excuse me. Anything prior to that has gone. Oh, there was some TV stuff that I had on VHS. That all went with the cottage. So it's all gone, basically. And so much that I did was, before the heyday of the internet. So there's really sod all. And it's so long ago now that most people who knew me as an athlete or as a businessman or as a vocalist will probably be dead by now, or they'll have just forgotten all about it. So it's just a thing in the past. The one thing that I have got that I'm really proud of, and I post it periodically, so you guys have probably seen it, is the first of the full page adverts I took out in Classic and Sports Car, the big glossy monthly classic car magazine. And that was the advert when we'd just done Operation Cheshire Storm. And we'd bought that company that supplied all of the vintage and veteran vehicles for Hollywood films, UK films, TV, anything, any card of that nature. And really top level stuff, from the 20s, 30s, 40s. There were Rolls Royce in there. There were, there was all sorts. There was a Ford bus, which was one of the hardest things to drive ever. A lot of vehicles. And we took out these adverts. For those who understand the old days of advertising, we took out a full colour right-hand page in Classic and Sports Car. Some of you might have a clue just how expensive that was. But that advert, it didn't only introduce. Sometimes when I talk about stuff, I think if I was listening to this, I would think he was lying, or at least embellishing the truth, because it sounds a little bit unrealistic. And one of the things that we did, me and Richard, we started the world's first internet auction site. And when I tell people that, I'm sure they think I'm lying. we were ahead of the site that went on to become eBay. It didn't start as eBay, but the site that eventually became eBay, we beat them to it by 6 or 7 months. I'd have to check the exact date. Because both Richard and I were massive believers in the future of the internet. And we thought it would really work for classic cars. So these series of adverts, the first one of which, we introduced our website, although everything was in inverted commas then. We're talking early mid-90s, right? People didn't know what the internet was, really. Difficult for some of you to believe. Some of you will have lived through that time, so you'll know. But yeah, the internet wasn't a thing. So we created a website, as we called it, and we had an email address, all new terms. And we had an online auction system called Internet Motor World, long before Clarkson started using that name. And we had a live auction on there for classic vehicles. And this is mentioned in the advert. And thank God I kept a hard copy of that advert. And then when the internet and Facebook and stuff came about, I scanned it in and I put it online, because it shows the date and everything. And there's pictures of all the cars, and there's a picture of me and all of the details. And it shows quite clearly that, yeah, we had an online auction in, I think it was February, and the site that went on to become eBay was launched in, I think it was October or November in the States. So I can show categorically that we genuinely were the first. We were groundbreakers, and we won Website of the Year with that. Not that that meant anything, because there weren't that many bloody websites. And to give you an idea of how difficult it all was back then, we had to pay for a guy to come from Canada to build our website for us. Not like today, where, you know, some kid round the corner can do it for you, and you give him a bag of sweets and £3.50. We had to bring a guy over from Canada to do it. But we were determined that we were going to do it, and we did. And I wish I had more of that stuff. But, well, anyway. Let's catch up with some comments, because I've forgotten what I was talking about. Oh, gosh. Oh, crumbs. Oh, that's where I got to. Sophie said, had a great week. Thank you so much. I was so upset. Oh, well, bless you, Soph. I was so upset when you said goodbye on the motorway. Ah, Soph, you're down the road, my lovely. You're only an hour and a half away. That's nothing. You are there's a guest room here with your name on it, or you're close enough that you could just come up for the day, or I'll come down to you and stock up. We don't have to be strangers. It doesn't have to be that long until we see each other. You're just down in the Black Country. It's Dudley. You're just a hop and a skip away. I mean, it's a 1 hour, 40-minute journey. I do that every Monday to go and see Mustard. So whenever you fancy just jogging up to the Peak District, you and Neil, then you know you've got a short journey away, some of which will be very enjoyable. You know you'll get a great lunch, and if you want to do an overnight, you know you've got a place to stay. So there you go. Sophie, did you get the stain out of the sofa? Asked Otter MG. Oh, Joe says she launched the chili sauce in Weatherspoons all over the couch. Oh, Simon's off. Take care, folks. Good night, Simon. And the lady was so nice about it, says Joe, apart from the fact that they professionally cleaned it just a few days before Sophie launched all the chili sauce over it. Diddly-do, diddly-do. Neil says, we got on like a house on fire. Very brave thing Joe did, coming up to meet two complete strangers and then drive 2 hours up to the peaks. But we have made a very good friend here. Oh, that's lovely. And Joe said, friends for life. Made me feel so safe and welcome, and both so funny and great characters. Yeah, it's been absolutely great. And it was like that when Joe came up a few weeks back and spent time with me and with Mustard. It was just, it was like we'd known each other forever. And it's lovely seeing those three together. Oh God, they're like people that were separated from birth and found each other again. Did Boaty say he did a Neil Diamond tribute act then? Asked Skip. Yes, Skip. I was the front man of, in other words, lead vocalist of a Neil Diamond tribute show called Hot August Night, and I did that for about 6 or 7 years around the UK, around Europe, and around the United States. Simone says, Boaty, have you ever had to get a Rover 75 key fob replaced? Yes, I have, Simone. I got a quote for 180 quid. Blimey. Well, I just, I got a blank off. Oh, it depends what you mean by replaced. I've replaced broken keys for my Rover 75, and I just got a blank off eBay, swapped the internals over into the new blank, and then had that blank cut. So cost about 10 quid. I've done that 2 or 3 times. If you've actually lost the key and you're having to get a completely new one, then I imagine that would be more expensive. Cheeseburger. Oh dear, dear, dear. Diddly do. Oh, okay. Now we're talking about the Beatles for some reason. James says, Beatles in order for me. George, Paul, Ringo, and then John. Controversial. Cheeseburger says, if George was in any other band, he would be held out as a legend. Underrated songwriter and guitarist. Joe says, even Neil's mum and dad did me a bag of sweet crisps and drinks for the road and hotel. Just shows how nice people they really are. You've cracked me up, Cheeseburger, says Trace. Oh, that's nice. Diddly-do, diddly. Oh, John Stoodley, now a channel member, is with us. Good evening, Boaty, and good evening, chat. Good evening to you. Gosh, look at the size of Boaty's fingers. Yeah, big hands. Span an octave on the piano. I'm not reading that out. Yes, Skick, says Trace. He's a very tall man, and he's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy. Oh, God. Cheeseburger's off on one. Nearly you'd have to bury mustard face down. Oh, God. Oh, dear, dear, dear. Blimey, Boaty's got a bit. I'm not reading that out. What a lovely leather knob, says Joe. Oh my God, he's handling Nigel's knob very articulately. Yes, he would indeed, Skick. Video title. I forgot that you're supposed to name this video. I Should Be So Lucky. Oh, that's not a bad one, actually. Dear, oh dear. I can't read half of these. Cheeseburger lived in Matchborough briefly. Kenchester Close in Matchborough East. Oh, that was one of the posh ones, wasn't it? Kenchester. I might be wrong, but wasn't Kenchester one of the private closes, not one of the council closes? Might be wrong. Simone's off, says goodnight. Boaty, what did you have? A chopper or a grifter? I had neither skick. I had I had a massive and endless variety of bicycles, but they were all rather serious. I never had a fun bike like a chopper or a grifter. I can honestly say that I never once rode a bicycle for pleasure. I only rode it for achievement. Aerodynamics, you've got the haircut for it, says Cheeseburger. I was shaved all over in those days, Cheeseburger, not just the head. I've got a head out, says Barry, to toughen out all. Hold on. Oh, God, there's a lot of music chat going on. That's good. Joe says, I bet you were good on a radio station. I think I was all right. Other people thought I was all right. Yeah, I enjoyed it. My favourite times were working on BBC Wales. Those are my favourites. Amazing bunch of people. I've seen Chas and Dave 16 times, but that's very niche, says Otter MG. It is a bit. Hold on. Oh, loads of... Okay, there's shed load of music chat going on. So, 3-bed semi, my first house. I knew it was posh, Cheeseburger. Right, what did I get to telling you about? Oh, right, yes. I need to tell you about Minge Bag. I'll keep an eye on the comments as well, don't worry. Is that single still live, Boat, and is it your channel? My singles network is still up and going. There are still 10,000 members knocking about in the Facebook element of it. The YouTube channel, there is one, but I started it. Well, I created it, but I've not done anything with it. There are no videos on it. I just, at the same time I started doing that, then things kind of started taking off a bit on this one, and there's just not enough time to do both. I'd love to do the singles YouTube channel, but I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time as it is. I don't have enough time to do this one, let alone do another one on top. When your local is the sticky wicket, it's anything but posh. I've got some stories about the sticky wicket. Bloody hell. Oh, the fights in there. Oh, God, the fights in there. Usually involving the Timpsons or me, or very occasionally my father, but that was always the end of fights rather. I remember my father, God almighty, I can't tell you which gaffer of the sticky wicket it was, but it was the gaffer of the sticky wicket, and I don't know what had happened. My old man used to pop in there occasionally. Now, my old man never got grief in Redditch because his reputation kind of spread from Birmingham. So most people in Redditch would know that he was a man that you didn't mess with in any way, sense, or way, shape, or sense, because enough people knew his reputation when he was the main enforcer for the Irish gangs in Birmingham that, you know, nobody would go anywhere near him. I remember one night, Mum was doing a night shift. Mum and Dad were separated or divorced at the time. They got divorced and then they got back together. But it was a time when Dad was living away, but Mum was working a night shift. So Dad was staying at the house. to look after me, basically. And we went to George's Chippy in Matsborough Centre. Now, I don't know what happened at the wicket. Something had obviously happened previously, but we're walking back. We've been to the chip shop. We've got the dog with us, Bonzo, and we're walking back down Matsborough Way, or we were going to be, to the house. And we're walking past the sticky wicket, and then suddenly there's a bit of shouting, and we've gone past, and we're out in the car park bit. And the gaffer's out there giving my old man verbals. Not a good idea. Not a good idea. Now, to this day, I don't know why. Dad never told me the history of it. And Dad's got me and the dog and Chips with him. So he's being a lot more patient than usual. And so he's ignoring this. And then eventually the guy made a threat. I mean, he made an actual physical threat. And that, Dad never stood for that. He never stood for being threatened, never stood for it. So he gave me the dog lead, said, hold these, gave me the chips. So I'm now holding the chips and the dog lead. And Dad just stalked over to have a conversation with this chap who's threatening him, big fella. And it went the way it always did go with Dad. Dad gave him one warning and said, last warning, shut up, turn around, go away, or I'm going to drop you. And the guy responded to that by trying to throw a punch, which my father was quick, and my father was very big and very strong. And so Dad hit him, and hit him properly. He didn't even punch him. He slapped him. But if you slap with that part of your hand, then that is as good as a closed fist punch, but has the benefit that you're not going to hurt yourself. Whereas if you want to have a look at, this is the problem with bare knuckle fighting with a closed fist. You end up with no knuckles. I've got no knuckle there. That knuckle is knackered. I've got fractures all down there and all down there. Whereas if you slap, then you're not going to damage yourself in that way. And if you have a feel in your face here, then go down from where your sideburns are, and you'll find a little indentation in the bone about there. And that is quite a big nerve center there. And if you slap somebody and you get that part of the hand into that area there, then it doesn't matter how big, strong, or whatever they are, they're down and out. And that's what happened. But obviously my old man was somewhat annoyed, because outside the sticky wicket, in those days, you had those big metal bins that were like as tall as a very tall man. In my mind, in my memory as a kid, they were anyway. And so this guy, the sticky wicket gaffer, he's just down on the floor and he's out of it. And my old man just picked him up like that, got up, threw him in the bin, and then we went home and ate the chips. That was the sticky wicket for you. And that was when I was a kid. When I was a grown-up and actually drank in there a few times, it hadn't bloody changed. Dear God, the sticky wicket. Memories, eh? It was all the same there. The social club was the same. The Arrow Valley Social Club. There was always a scrap down there, almost every night. Oh God! And that place at Winyates, whatever the pub was called at Winyates, I can't remember. You couldn't go in there without having a bloody fight. Dear God. Video title: Forget the feet, Boaty. Show us your hands. Anyway, right, so let's tell you about Minge Bag, and then I'm going to call it a day for tonight. I've done well. I've done an hour 40. And, bearing in mind that I am technically, clinically dead, I think I've done rather well. Minge Bag. So Neil has been working on Brian, blah, blah, blah. Now, you all know that with Minge Bag, there is an issue. This is the reason why we got Minge Bag so cheaply. So sorry. To remind you of the whole story. Oh, for those who don't know, Minge Bag, you can trace, that and up, but that's really dangerous. Don't do that. Trace is talking about, oh God, this is going to get me demonetized, isn't it? Trace is talking about doing an open palm strike to the base of the nose. Very, very dodgy. Don't do that. Don't do that. A slap to there, do it right, then no permanent damage done, and it just stops everything, puts them out. Do that and do it wrong, and you're up on a bloody murder charge. But yeah, absolutely. Where was I? So Minge Bag, for those who don't know, Minge Bag, otherwise known as Betty Blue, is an MGTF Cool Blue limited edition, 2003. Now, the story with this car is it was bought from a specialist dealer last year. The chap who bought it then immediately spent thousands and thousands of pounds modifying it. You name it, it's been done. Full stainless steel sports exhaust, massive racing calipers, new alloys to accommodate the big 4-pot calipers, a full remap from K-Maps, LED lighting throughout. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on and on. Spent a fortune on it. Then it had an overheating issue, and that came just at the wrong time for this chap, because he was just about to go, poor fellow, as I understand it, he was just about to go through a divorce, and he decided, and the overheating was just the last straw. Now, it wasn't a catastrophic overheat, it wasn't a full boil or anything like that, but it just finished him with the car. Plus the fact that he was probably going to lose it in the divorce anyway. So he decided at that point that he would just get rid. And he advertised it with all of the details of the upgrade and everything. And he thought the head gasket had gone, of course. So he advertised it as having head gasket failure. Now, I didn't buy the car. We didn't buy the car. Graham bought the car. Graham bought the car. My friend Graham, the MGF and TF expert. And he had a quick look at it. He realized that no damage had been done from the overheating. He looked through the history. Head gasket had been done, blah, blah, blah. And he came to the conclusion that the overheating was caused, having done some tests, the overheating was caused because whilst the engine fan was kicking in, the radiator fan was not. And under normal driving circumstances, the engine fan alone will maintain the safe temperature of the engine. Under particular circumstances, like, sitting in a traffic jam with the engine running, something like that, the radiator fan is required as well. As I understand it from memory, engine fan kicks in at 84 degrees, radiator fan kicks in at 104 degrees. Having established that, Graham lost appetite to try and sort the car out. And the reason for that is Graham is brilliant at the mechanicking stuff. He's brilliant at the body stuff. He's not so keen on electrics that require computers and so on and so on and so on. Now, on an MGTF, there's a temperature sensor on the engine block, but that is for the engine fan alone. The radiator fan is triggered directly by the car's ECU. So if the ECU isn't triggering the fan, and it tested the fan, if you bridged the fan, it would work, but it wasn't kicking in when it needed to. The ECU was not kicking the fan in. So that was going to mean an ECU repair or reprogramming or replacement, and Graham didn't fancy that. Now, because of all of the modifications done to the car, Graham would have been able to break the car and make a very, very healthy profit. But Graham is a genuine enthusiast that does this as a hobby more than as a business. And he hates seeing cars broken when they don't need to be, and he won't do it. So he reached out to me, explained the situation, and said, look, if you want to take the car on and try and get it sorted with, you know, contacts that you might have and so on, just give me a drink on top of what it owes me, and you take it. I could break this car for a brilliant money, but I don't want to. It shouldn't be broken. It's a nice car. And so we bought it. And I've been running the car, as you guys know. And if you drive it, you know, if you drive it knowingly and sensibly, it's a car that you can use. Under normal driving, it's absolutely fine. The temperature stays solid as a rock. So you just have to bear in mind that if you're caught in continual traffic where you're stopping for periods all the time, as we were today in Oldham when we had to go to Halfords, if you see the temperature gauge start to creep up over the halfway mark, in other words, where the temperature is such that the engine fan alone can't manage temperature, you've just got to knock the car off and then restart it as you're about to move, get some air through it. But that is a little bit limiting, and, you know, there are certain, I mean, I'll give you I wanted to take that car to Llandudno, take it to the top of the Great Orme. I want to do that with all of my cars. I could never do that in Minchbag because you would never get to the top of the Great Orme. It's crawling traffic, it's under load uphill, and you wouldn't be safely able to keep turning off and on again. So something like that. So Neil and I came up with the plan that we were going to fix it. And if we couldn't fix it, then we were going to do a perfectly good workaround bodge on it. So in other words, we were going to, if the fan was working when it was bridged, then we were just going to put in a manual switch, put it through to the dash of the car, so that the radiator fan just became a manual thing. And that's cut a long story short, that is exactly what we did. Now, I spent years and years and years driving classic cars that had an aftermarket fan fitted, a Kenlow, and it's just second nature to me that whatever car I'm driving, I'm always monitoring the temperature gauge, and I'm always, in my mind, I'm always ready. If I hit traffic jam or anything like that, or I have to pause, then I naturally go to switch the radiator fan on. So I wasn't worried at all about it being a manual thing in Minchbag. And that's exactly what we did. We checked everything out about the fan. We checked the fan was working. We agreed with Graham that when the car was remapped, it probably had a flash map, and that would have burnt one of the chips on the ECU, and that was why the ECU wasn't triggering the rad fan. And we've just, well, Neil did it. Of course he did. We went out and got the wire and and we created, Neil, sorry. I keep saying we. Sorry, Neil. So we created a switch for the radiator fan, piggybacked off the, replacing the relay. So instead of the relay, you've now got a manual switch in there, fused with a 20 amp fuse. So if anything does go awry, it'll be the fuse that blows and not the radiator fan. And that works perfectly. You'll see on tomorrow's Daily Diary video, there's now a little on-off flick switch for the radiator fan. So that will work perfectly well. And in my second knob update, I upgraded Minchbag's knob from a weird little steel ball-shaped thing that you've seen with with a dodgy gator that didn't fit right to a proper TF golf ball type one, whatever they call it, with a better gator. So I left that yard feeling pretty damn good. We'd had a wonderful day, very productive day. And all down the motorway, no problem at all. You know, we've been hooning that car about over the weekend, no problem at all. I took it to the yard today, no problem at all. And then just as I was getting to the outskirts of Gloucester, I thought, right, I'm going to put fuel in. It had only done 100 miles, just over 100 miles since Neil filled her up on Sunday. But I thought I'll fill her up, and fuel's a bit cheaper here, and it'll be interesting to see what she's done on this 100 mile. And I suspect she'd not done much, because even though I'd only done 100 mile, the tank wasn't much over half full. And just as I was coming to the garage, the oil pressure light flickered on. And then it flickered on again, and then it came on and it stayed on. So got into the garage. As it happened, I couldn't put fuel in. They only had normal unleaded. They didn't have the premium stuff, and I'm not putting the usual stuff in Min's bag. She runs on premium non-supermarket fuel. So I checked the oil, and the oil was about on the minimum, maybe a smidge underneath the minimum. So I thought, oh, okay, the oil's a bit low, it's triggering a thing. So went in, bought some oil, put some oil in. Now, then I don't know what happened. This is where I need the light of day and whatnot. I don't know whether I poured it in wrong or something, or if there's a block somewhere in the system. I suspect it's a block, because, you know, I'm trying to put a litre of oil in, and suddenly the oil is overflowing. And then I've stopped. And then when I've gone to get a read off the dipstick, everything's just covered in oil. It's like there's a block there and the oil is just backed up. And I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means that the engine is completely smashed or what. I haven't got a clue. So I drove on put it all back together, drove on for a little bit, light still on, stopped again, put the rest of the oil in, the rest of the litre of oil in, plus a little bit that was in Neil's container that he'd left with it. Still couldn't get a reading. There's still just oil everywhere, as if it's being backed up in the system. And I thought, oh shit. By this time it's by this time it's late, it's dark, I'm knackered. I really, really, really don't want to be calling the AA, hanging about for Christ knows how long, pissing about on the side of the road. Obviously, I've got the live to think about. Now, the car was driving perfectly okay. Temperature gauge, normal. Oil temperature, because you've got an oil temp gauge on the F&TF, normal, absolutely fine. It was pulling fine. The only issue was that I've got this, seemingly got a backup of oil, and I've got the oil pressure light on. And I thought, at that point, I thought, fuck it. If the car will get me home, I'm just going home. And if I wreck it, I wreck it. I don't know what I'm doing, but at this point, I just need to get home. So all the way home, the situation was that as long as I'm driving, absolutely fine. The car's driving without fault. There's no hint of any fault at all. As long as I'm on throttle or on overrun, there's no light. But as soon as I let it drop down to idle, even if the car is moving, then the light is full on. And that's the way that it was all the way home. And so, so I'm just going to have to seek some advice and see what the score is tomorrow. So not a clue what's going on there, but oh, Jimmy's got a fan switch on his Fiat 126. It was a normal thing back in the day. Oh, Trace says, don't forget to hit like, and that would be a great kindness if you're willing to do that. Cheeseburg says, that's why I don't like remaps. A TF is fast enough without messing about with the map. The open circuit of the fan sounds like a problem. Yeah, possibly, but, as far as I'm concerned, having that manual option on the fan, for me, that solves the problem. It might make the car non-saleable to other people, but as a keeper, I haven't got a problem with that. To me, that completely solves the problem. It's, like I say, it's second nature to me to manually operate a fan switch. And you don't need it that often anyway. Most of the time, the engine fan, which works perfectly well, is more than enough to keep it going. Sounds like a blockage. Hopefully not too much damage. Yeah, I know nothing about it. I wouldn't know what to look for, and I certainly wouldn't know how to sort it. And I don't know why it suddenly came about. The mad part of me always thinks that if I can get it home, hopefully it'll fix itself overnight and just get its shit together. Otter MG says, the remote filler often pisses out the little red washer gasket fails. Always fill through the rocker cover filter, albeit a bugger to get to. Oh, the remote filler often pisses out. The little red one. Ah, okay. All right, so that could just be a separate thing then. I mean, I don't know. Maybe the oil level is still low. Or maybe it thinks the oil level is still too low. I mean, I'll try and get a proper, when everything's settled down, I'll try and get a proper oil reading tomorrow. And if it looks like it needs more oil, I'll add more oil and see if that could possibly solve it. Skick reckons a cracked valve guide. See, now there you're talking about things that I know nothing about. So, I'll have some supper, I'll go to bed. It got me home. It's got a lovely new knob. The radiator fan is sorted. Hopefully this is something that can be sorted too. Fingers crossed. And the last thing before I go, the trouble is the engines are so inaccessible. They are quite inaccessible. A lot better if you lift the back of the hood up and get that cover off. That gives you more. Let's have a look at my little folder, shall we? Now, this was a second-hand eBay item. Quickly tell you about the folder thing. You know that I have folders for all of the car's histories. The two MGFs have got those cheap fake leather folders that I bought off Amazon. And the problem with them is they're too small. There's too much history to go in them. Whereas Barney and Brian have very small histories, so they would go in there perfectly. So I bought two second-hand bigger folders to put the two MGF histories into, which will free up those cheaper, smaller, fake leather folders. Oh, it's well wrapped. It is well wrapped. For Barney and for Brian, neither of which have folders at the moment. Brian is in just a series of Polly Pockets, and Barney is just loose on the table in the front parlour. So, whoops. Oh, nicely packed. That's a good sign, isn't it? Now, this was only cheap. It was only £6, £7. Oh, well, there's something to add to the history, isn't it? I've got an invoice for the folder that can go in the folder. And, oh, I've got two invoices. That's nice. Right, let's have a look. Let's see what I got for my 6 or 7 quid. No, that's okay. Nice bit of red there. Got an outside zip. This is A4, obviously, we didn't realise. So brochure or something could go in there. Just giving it the sniff test. It is leather. Oh, nice thing on there. Oh my God. What's this? What's this? Oh, that's quite sweet, isn't it? Ah, there we are. There you go. That's okay. The ring binders are, oh, they work nicely and they're still good and tight. Little bit smaller than would be ideal. I might need to do some folder jiggery pokery. Got a slot there for the brochure will fit in. Oh, another zip pocket there. All of these zips are fine. Oh, I'm really pleased with that. Oh, that would be grand. It's got a little bit of damage to the leather there, but that's just a bit of patina. You know what? For £6 or £7, whatever it was I paid, excuse me, I can tell you now. Oh, it went for the opening bid, £6.99. Thanks for your purchase. We look forward to doing business with you again on eBay. Oh, well, thank you for sending it so well packed. And, right, I'm going to call that a definite win. I'm not going to be playing with that tonight. Too tired. We'll do that in the morning. And that is it, darlings. It has gone midnight. Against all the odds, I've done my 2 hours. I hope I haven't bored you too badly. Simon will be gutted to have missed this live folder update. Yeah, well, you snooze, you lose. That's what happens, isn't it? Oh, hello, Ben's here, coming in just before the end. Bless him. So, yeah, that's it for today, darlings. I'm going to get off. I'm going to get some supper. It's going to be Momo. And above all, I'm going to get some sleep. I'm not going to drink too much. I'm not going to send Bernard mad late. I mean, even after all of the talking last night, I still, oh God, I still didn't go to bed after we eventually put the phone down. I had supper at a ridiculous time, polished off the wine, and ended up sending, one of my highly inadvisable late night messages, which actually got a positive response, oddly enough. Tonight, I'm just going to be sensible. I'm going to go to bed. I'm going to get some rest. Oh, I hope so too, Cheeseburger. And yeah, we'll have an update tomorrow. Tomorrow, it's going to be a bit of a weird week for the channel because normally on a Monday, obviously I do the daily diaries, I do the live streams, and then on Monday, I tried to get the rest of the content for the whole of the week. So, you know, like last week I got, there was a collecting lunch, there was a driving back from lunch, there was a lunch video itself, there was another video around that. Today, I've got nothing. I've got a couple of bits for tomorrow's daily diary. I've not even recorded a good night because I did no filming in the car or anything. I just wanted to enjoy it. So there aren't going to be any videos this week, basically. There'll be one. There'll be the full. I did a bit of the F and TF stuff from Sunday in yesterday's daily diary. I've got additional footage now, or I will have when I've downloaded it, that came from Joe, because Joe did a lot of filming. So he's got all of my footage and I've got all of his, and I've got Sophie's as well. So there's probably one video to come out of that, but that'll be it this week. Otherwise, it's just going to be the daily diaries and which a lot more people have got access to now, because thanks to your kindness and generosity, there are more There are more channel members than ever now, which is brilliant. Thank you again for that. Thank you, Joe, and thank you, Neil. And yeah, that's going to be it. It's just going to be daily diaries and live streams this week, unless I get out and do something, which I might, but it's not going to happen tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to do as little as bloody possible. The daily diary should be fun because tomorrow Ram is leaving for Nepal for 2 or 3 weeks, and I have got the big boss. The big boss is going back to his roots, and he's going to be head chef. Now, the big boss is, you'll meet him. I'm going to film him. I've already filmed a little bit of him. I've warned him he's being filmed, whether he likes it or not, because he's coming into my place. Now, he hasn't worked. He worked his way up to being the big boss by being head chef and so on and so on and so on. He's the executive chef. He designs all of the dishes. He designs the menu, etc., etc., etc. But these days, he's a very successful, very rich businessman. He's got a lot of business interests and so on in Nepal. So he spends quite a bit of time out there. And he's now entered politics, and very successfully too. So while Ram is away, he's going to be spending 2 or 3 weeks slaving away at the hot stove. And we've already been teasing each other about this. He's said that he's not making bloody staff curry. We want staff curry. I've got to make it. He's the big boss. He's not cooking for us. He'll cook for the customers, but he's not cooking for. He's lovely. Bish is absolutely lovely, as you will find out. He's a little bit different to Ram, but he's a lovely chap, very interesting. So do keep an eye on the daily diaries, because I'm going to be introducing you to Bishnu. I'd be interested to know what you think. It should be really quite funny, actually, because Bishnu and I, even though he's an incredibly successful multimillionaire and I'm just a nobody, we're kind of like brothers or best mates. So it doesn't matter that he's up there and I'm down here. I rip the piss out of him and he does out of me. And he has actually got a bit of respect for obviously my history, and he does actually defer to me in a lot of ways and take my advice. But it should be good fun. So keep an eye on the daily diaries. Future title: Big Bish's Rammed Full. The full behind the scenes film of One Jag. Oh, this is Ben. The full behind the scenes film of One Jag Long Tour Steve was brilliant. Thank you, Ben. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, I am denied about whether to put that out, whether it's just going to be a bit too boring. But I thought, well, people don't want to watch it, they don't want to watch it. But I thought there were some funny bits in. I left it long enough after the actual proper video went out. So I'm glad you enjoyed that, and thanks for saying so. Ben can report that the beige bomber bested the love sausage in smashing Bristol's quiz night. I'm sorry I missed that. I did wonder if there would be some good names going in. I think Simon's, to be fair, I think Simon's hit on a bit of a winner with that quiz idea. It's his own thing. He hasn't copied it off anybody that I'm aware of, and he's doing it in his own way, and I think it's rather good, and hopefully it will do very well for him. And I would genuinely have been there if I wasn't doing something else, but I'd love to see. The beige floater bested Captain Lunchbox. God. Video title: Play on the Elton John Cowboy. Captain Lunchbox and the Brown Dirt Cowboy. This is going to be demonetized, isn't it? It's now 10 past midnight, darlings, and I'm going to get off, leave you in peace, and treat myself to some food and rest. It's been lovely catching up with you. Thank you so much for your company. I genuinely appreciate it. Thanks for your support as always. Welcome to the new channel members. Thank you again to Joe and Neil for your kindness and generosity. Thank you to Joe, Neil, and Sophie for the best weekend. And an extra special thanks to Neil for, saving my vehicular arse when nobody else seemed able to do it. And there will be more thanks coming tomorrow. I'm just too tired. Tomorrow there will be an update. I'll try and get some idea of whatever the hell is going on with Mingebag. There are a shed load of quiz themes suggested at the end. And yes, Simon is the quiz master extraordinaire. Good for him. If that becomes his thing that people enjoy and that he's good at, it might do really well for his channel. And I hope that it does. I think it's a really good idea. Adds a different element to the lives. Oh, God, I'm not reading those out. There's a slim chance that I might not actually be demonetized on this one. Very slim. So, yeah, I'll see you again tomorrow night, darlings, 11 o'clock, Tuesday Night Live. And I'll give you updates on whatever there is to give you updates on. And that's it. That's it. I'm off. Thank you so much once again. Please have a safe and have a safe and peaceful night. Take great care of yourselves. Have the best day that you can tomorrow. And all the love in the world from me. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Good night.